we got to talk about these pitch invasions. I was at the City Ground this week. I was at Goodison Park last night. I spoke about the great scenes because there was so much joy from where we are up in the stands. That is really all you can see. People singing songs, people hugging, taking pictures with one another, celebrating. Great success for City getting to Wembley, for Everton staying in the Premier League last night. That's you got to bear in mind, because so many people have messaged me about this. Oh, are these the great fans you were talking about when we saw the horrible scenes with Billy Sharp at the City Ground and with Patrick Vieira and the fan at Goodison Park last night? And by the way, remember, we had players in altercations between Port Vale fans and Swindon Town players last night in the League Two playoff second leg. We've had it throughout some of the games. Huddersfield Town, we've heard Nathan Jones calling some of their fans that went over and goaded him a disgrace. These are things that are very unsavoury that we don't want to see in football, and they continue to happen. Things are getting worse in terms of people entering that field of play, fans entering that field of play. We're having more pyrotechnics thrown onto the pitch during the game. That just seems to be commonplace now. A goal goes in and there's a flare thrown into the penalty box, or something that we have to wait for a member of the fire services to come and clear off the pitch after every game. We want atmosphere, but we want passion in the right way. Obviously, we want it in the right way. We don't want people, if you like, going at players, going at coaches. It's one thing when you're sat in your seat and you're 20 rows back. It's personal when you're in someone's face. And when I saw Patrick Vieira, lash out at that fan, and we can have the debate about whether he deserves punishment or not, there was part of me that genuinely felt like, well, yeah. I mean, what do you expect? If you're going to goad someone and you're going to get into their personal space, what are you hoping for? But I don't want to advocate violence of any kind. And maybe Patrick Vieira could have done better in that situation. And he can tell us that, I'm sure, in time, if he felt he could have.
But he's a human at the end of the day. He's a human. I know he's got to be professional, but he's a human first. And until you're in that position where there's loads of fans running around, you've seen what's happened to Billy Sharp, that's running through your head as well. You're thinking self-defense at the end of the day. You're thinking, I can't take any chances here. I don't want to be laid out on my back, unconscious potentially. So, or worse even. So you don't even know. But one thing I will say, in my opinion, about, these pitch invasions, like you said, there is a couple people that maybe spoil the fun. And on the whole, usually it's people just celebrating and it's good vibes. But if it is going to put a few people at risk in certain ways, then maybe we should try and curve it in some way, shape or form. But I also think it doesn't just start in football, though. I feel like it's a lot of it's reflective of what's going on in society right now. There are a lot of people rebelling within society right now. And I don't want to make this super political, but we've seen what's gone on the last few years with COVID, with, the financial restrictions. There's a lot of unrest in society at the moment. And I feel like people are bringing that into football, whether that's through throwing flares on the pitch or whether it's you're seeing these crazy people run and headbutt people and stuff like that. I think we need to do more in society to kind of get a grip on these sorts of things. And then, because football's just a reflection of society at the end of the day, whether that's racism or just things of this nature. We just need to get a better grip on it.
Look, I've been involved in, I completely agree with what Mitch said there. I've been involved in games where we've won the game, the last game of the season at home, and we've had pitch invasions, and it's been great. The atmosphere has been electric. Everything you've seen on the screens that have been good and positive and nice and friendly and happy is what I've experienced. But I also know there's a moment as well in just one person, and it only takes one person to change the whole atmosphere of tens of people, hundreds of people, thousands of people, and it's just that one person, and it's trying to minimize that. And at the moment, if I was Patrick Vieira and there were fans coming on the pitch in the manner in which they did approaching him, especially after the day before, we seen what you mentioned before happened with Billy Sharp as well, I'm going to be on edge. I'm going to be thinking to myself, right, well, if he's coming for me, I'm going to have to protect myself here. This is not what I'm here for. I'm here to manage the football team or play the football match. I'm not here to worry about being attacked from the sidelines. That should not even be a second thought. It shouldn't even be something that passes through your subconscious when you're at work. That's exactly what he is. He's at work. So I definitely think there needs to be more done in terms of the policing. And I don't mean, I'm not singling out Goodison Park. I'm not singling out any of the stadiums that we've seen the last couple of days. I'm talking in general. There are only certain games of each season that these sort of things happen in. It doesn't happen every single game of the Premier League season or the Championship season or League One, League Two, etc. It's usually in the semi-final of the second leg in the playoffs, whether that's Champ playoff, League One playoff, or League Two, or I don't know why we saw it, but we saw it in Europe as well. It was it West Ham?
Eintracht Frankfurt fans after the semi-final second leg.
Approaching the West Ham fans, and that was unnecessary, uncalled for. But I feel like the stewards and stewardesses, they're more on a voluntary basis. Yeah. So, in terms of their the training that they've been given to stop people from going on the football pitches or anything along those lines,
it's minimal.
It's very minimal. So why not get, just for those 5, 6, 7 games for at the back end of the season, real policing just for that, to make sure that people don't go on the pitches.
Have you been on the pitch when a pitch invasion's happened previously?
At the end of a match?
Yeah.
And
what was it like for you when thousands
incredible.
of fans ran in? It was a positive experience.
It was incredible because we won, and we were carried around the stadium. Everybody's got us on there in the air, floating us all around the place, and it was brilliant because the atmosphere was positive and it was great. But I also know there was a moment, but there's always that thought in the back of your mind, there could be a moment here where this does turn sour, and you are concerned about it. You are concerned about it because you're talking about you as an individual, and there are thousands and thousands of people here.
I was reading an article a little bit earlier on from someone who helped supply crowd control measures in Germany, in Bundesliga. You might understand or might have seen that they've got nets behind the goal in Germany. And I just wanted to do a little bit of research into what it is there. It is a crowd control measure, flame-resistant mesh. You can see through it easily. They produce a steel rope built into the roof of the stadium. The net is suspended from it. There are no poles obscuring the view. You can break the net down very quickly. It can also be winched away if you only use it for those high-risk games. Provisions are also in place for spectators to be able to run through the net or go underneath it, because they use Velcro to make the big net, and you can easily get through it. Basically saying it's not as dangerous as what it might look like, but it is just there because it sends an indication mainly to the fans that you can't just run onto the pitch. And the other thing is it buys time for officials, for policing in the stadium to get to an area where fans are trying to break through it, to try and stop them getting on the pitch. It also makes the players aware. No one wants to see anything around the pitch in football in this country. We want
fences and that.
We don't want any of that. But ultimately, it's going to come down to, if this continues, punishments. People are either going to have to forfeit, or they're going to get a points deduction, or they're going to get huge financial sanctions.
Yeah, because even the flair thing, that's something we see in Europe all the time around Europe. It's not something that's really crept into our game. It's only this season, really, I've seen flares coming on the pitch during Premier League games. I'm like, when has this started? Yeah. It's a very European thing that's starting to happen now. And like you said, it's going to go down that route if they continue to do it.
Yeah, absolutely.